Excellent. Okay, next witness is Raul Figuero. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Raul Figuero. I'm a community organizer at Fuerza Laboral. My job as a community organizer for that organization is to recover lost wages. And I'm going to start this with telling you a story that happened in June of 2016. We were representing a group of 8 people who perform work doing residential cleaning for this cleaning company. They worked for 43 and a half hours that week, 8 people. It amounted to a total of $2,300 for that week of work. At the end, the employer told them that he wasn't happy with the work and he wasn't going to pay them. Then he used one of those workers, and he personally classified that person as a subcontractor. And the way he tried to play it out is that person contacted the other people to work for him. But in reality, he trained them. He's the one who gave them the equipment. He's the one who told them exactly what needed to do. He was responsible for it. But he sat in front of them. We had a meeting in our office with the employer and the 8 people, and he looked at them in the face and told them that he was not going to pay them because he was not responsible, because the other person that he called, he said that he was the subcontractor, was actually responsible for it, which in reality he used that tool in his advantage. And I've got to say, there's definitely pros and cons when it comes to subcontracting, because a lot of people who are actually trying to get into the subcontracting business do have a dream, and they do want to get their business started, and they want to compete with the with the big guys. But in reality is that a lot of the things that we see, and that the general contractor use them to not be liable when it comes to any labor violations, such as wage theft and worker compensation and any accident at work. So this is just one of the examples that we see every day. We have a lot of them, and this is one of the tools that a lot of the people who doesn't want to be responsible for it use it to basically get out of trouble. So I just wanted to leave it at that. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Benjamin Bouchard. Welcome,
Thank you,
Benjamin.
Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Ben Branchard. I'm with the Carpenters Union Local 94 here in Rhode Island. I submitted written testimony, but I just kind of wanted to paint a little bit better of a picture. So I guess imagine you're the Attorney General, or Matt Weldon, and a construction worker comes to you and says, I haven't been paid.
I've imagined being Attorney General a few times.
Yeah, you can close your eyes if you want, so it's a whole experience. So a construction worker comes up to you, Attorney General Craven, and says, I haven't been paid.
Say that one more time.
Attorney General Craven. A construction worker comes up to you and says, I haven't been paid in 3 months. And who do you go to file that complaint? You would go to their immediate employer. Sometimes that's literally just some guy. Like, it's just this guy that we call labor brokers or labor sharks, who are kind of like the Pied Pipers of worker exploitation. They kind of bring crews around to different construction sites and put them to work. And they're subcontractors, but not really. They're not registered anywhere. They're providing work to subcontractors. So it creates this really long chain. And in working with the Department of Labor and the Attorney General on cases of wage theft, it's very difficult to work your way down or up that chain. The blame either goes up or down, and nothing gets done. So it continues, because if you get away with something for so long, it continues. And to say that these general contractors have no way of knowing is incredible. I mean, there's trailers on every job site. There's one trailer that that the general contractor and subcontractor shares. They take bids from these subcontractors, like somebody said, 40% less than a legitimate contractor. Like these people are bidding the cost of materials and then a little bit more. And it's for the general contractor to say we had no idea that this was a fishy bid is crazy. And they're sharing these trailers, and people on the job sites are talking to each other and saying that they're being exploited. And people from unions and other agencies are also telling these general contractors and developers that these companies that they continuously use are engaged in these practices, and they continue to hire them. And the indirect employer thing, I don't think that means, well, I referred them to you, so now I'm an indirect employer, so now I'm responsible civilly. An indirect employer would be one of these labor brokers that I'm talking about, where it's not the direct employer, it's a separate employer. So I don't want it to be spoken into truth that an indirect employer equals somebody who refers somebody else. Like, hey, I know a great plumber, now I'm responsible for wage theft. I don't believe that to be the case at all. So I guess that's it. I'm in support of this bill because it holds contractors responsible and accountable. And not only, like somebody else before me also said, this bill, just by looking at it, kind of eliminates the issue. It's not, even if a fraction of this bill were to pass, it would be like a saving grace to the construction industry. For the general contractor to know that they could be responsible, they'll look closer at those bids, and they'll look closer at what's happening on their job sites. They're the superintendents. The developers have project managers that are on a job site that know what's going on. The general contractors have superintendents that know what's going on. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Representative Cunha.
As a general contractor, I don't mind the bill, but I will say this, though. When I'm looking at different proposals and bills, there are companies who have maybe 30% of their estimate because they have the management fees. And there's the management part of it, there's foreman, there's a big part of the actual general conditions before they even get to the work. So, and then we have another company who has two managers who are busy in the same project who can certainly take away a big portion of that and start getting into the actual work scope. So that's where I see a little bit of a discrepancy, because not all companies, and I can tell which bids come in through, and I know that some companies are really paying really low labor, but it also, there's, in my defense, and I think for a lot of the general contractors, when estimates come in, and you see a company that's probably 15 to 20% less, and you kind of know the company, and you know that they're known for having like 15 managers on a project, which is totally not even worth it. It's not really necessary when you have a smaller company who has maybe two managers on a company who can be a little bit more competitive in their bid. So I can see both sides of the.
So if it's managerial fees that are driving up the costs, then the general contractor would have nothing to worry about, because it's not worker exploitation that's lowering the cost. It's a lack of managers. So it's kind of a
sure, but they're not going to scope that out in they're not going to line item that for you. You know, they're going to give you a estimate of, you know, it's costing you $50,000, and this guy's saying it's going to cost you $30,000. So they'll hide that within their programs and their fees. So, but yes, I can understand what you're saying. That was it.
Any more questions of the witness? Thank you.
Thank you.
Randall Rose, I don't see him here. He signed up to testify in favor. Mike Arroyo, Rhode Island Jobs with Justice, no testimony, but he's in favor. John Simmons from RIPEC, against. He's provided written testimony. Rhode Island Business Coalition, against. Written testimony only. Henry or Heine Maldonado, in favor, provided written testimony, which brings us to Justin Kelly from the Painters Union.
He has written testimony here.
Oh, written testimony?
That's what we
okay.
just received, yes.
And Greg Mancini from Build Rhode Island, who I do not see here. And there are no other witnesses. That concludes testimony on House Bill 6230, and it concludes our evening's festivities. Do I have a motion to adjourn? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.